Hello, friends, and welcome back to another exciting episode of the DERP-ocalypse. How y'all like them production qualities? I'm upping my game over here. I can't take all the credit, because Grady, one of my most valued viewers over on my Twitch channel, is responsible for that lovely, badass masterpiece of amazingness. Y'all hop on over to the channel and tell her how great she is and how awesome that artwork is, and maybe follow the channel while you're over there. Enough shameless self-promotion. On to the show. What's the movie for tonight? Well, it is probably one of the... Nay! It is undoubtedly the worst movie adaptation of a video game in the history of movie adaptations for video games. It is... Doom! Really great game franchise. The movie does not do it justice. Want to know why? Well, I'm going to tell you why. So, here we go. Let's dive in. Right off the bat, this movie lobs a gigantic wad of exposition at our face, but we're going to dodge that like Muhammad Ali dodged the giraffe and move right on to the meat of this thing. Which is this group of scientists running through a hallway away from something that's off-screen. One of the scientists, we'll call him Dr. Fauci. He makes it into an elevator and closes the door behind him. And this other scientist who's running behind him reaches out her hand and she's like, hey, help me. But then it like, whoop, closes on her hand, snips that bad boy off like a Jewish guy's foreskin. But it's fine. I'm sure she'll survive it. She was probably vaccinated. Moving on. So, yeah, Dr. Fauci was the only surviving member of the science team. So he does what Dr. Fauci does, and that's implement quarantine procedures. Anywho, those call up some space marines to come help them, and turns out this movie already did most of my work for me, because they already gave them really crappy, cringy code names, but I'm going to replace those crappy, cringy code names with my own crappy, cringy code names. I almost made it all the way through that without messing up. Messed up that last word there on the end. Whatever, we're not going to talk about that. Moving on. First up, this guy with the minigun. They call him Destroyer, which is so cringy, I'm actually just going to leave it in there, but for the rest of the movie, I'm going to say it like this. Destroyer. Next up, the token Asian guy. They call him Mac, but I'm going to change that three-letter name to another three-letter name and call him ACT, as in ACT, because something tells me this guy scored high on his ACTs. Call it a hunch. Next up, Portman. I called this guy Fecal Matter, because, I mean, he looks like if you took a dump and then magically turned it into a human, it's what it would turn into, would be this guy. Next up, they called this guy Goat. I don't know why. I'm going to call him Hot Topic, because he likes to cut himself. Trust me, that'll make more sense later. Next up, the kid. I don't know, this guy looks like he's like 16, so I'm just going to call him Junior. Next up, this guy, they call him Duke, so I'm just going to call him Dookie, because Dookie's fun to say. So. Next up, Sarge, played by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I'm going to call him Muscles, because Muscles is literally all that Dwayne Johnson brings to the table as an actor. Next up, Reaper. I'm gonna call him Billy Butcher, because he plays Billy Butcher in The Boys, which I wish I was watching now instead of this, but, let's move on. So, anyway, our intrepid band of aliens rejects climb in their little spaceship and, fly to some field somewhere that's got an elevator in it that goes down to this facility that has some sort of magic bubble in it that teleports them to some space station on another planet. Anywho, once they're at this little magic bubble space station, they encounter this guy, who I'm going to call Wheels. Do I really have to explain why? But let me pause here and just ask real quick, how does this guy poop? Does he poop? Is there like a little hole at the bottom of that little thing that he like poops out of? But like, if so, how does he clean it up off the floor? Or is there like a hole he just wheels himself over and poops into the hole? Or is there like one of them... Maybe it's like a vacuum, you know, you got them vacuums, it's got the little canister you just empty. Maybe this guy's got like a little shit canister in the back of his thing, so when he poops, he just reaches back and takes out his little shit canister and empties it out. I don't know. I'm genuinely curious about this, but, So, anyway, then they follow Wheels further into the facility, and they are introduced to this blonde doctor lady. And, she's actually the sister of Billy Butcher, so we're gonna call her Bonnie Butcher, because I feel like if I say Billy Butcher and Bonnie Butcher enough, I can get some alliteration jokes and maybe get a chuckle out of you guys. So, did it work? No? Yeah, fuck y'all. So anyway, Billy Butcher and Bonnie Butcher and their bumbling band of bumpkins moving. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna stop that. That's even annoying me. Took it too far. Not funny anymore, damn it. Anyway, once they get in the facility, they decide to split up, because apparently that's just what you do in these kind of movies. So, Billy Butcher and Bonnie Butcher, sorry, I made them rhyme, there's nothing I can do now. We're just locked into this. I don't know what to tell you. They go to a lab, and Bonnie Butcher explains to Billy Butcher that Okay, now I'm just doing it intentionally. I'm not going to lie to you. That one was intentional. Anyway, Bonnie Butcher explains what they've been researching here is this ancient civilization of alien people, and they had some kind of little serum or something that gave them an extra chromosome that made them, like, super strong and super cool or something like that. Remember all that because it's going to come up later. But for now, let's check back in with the rest of the team. So they are wandering around these dark hallways looking for something. They don't really know what. But also that becomes a theme in this movie of either wandering around dark hallways, chasing things around in dark hallways, or being chased around by things in dark hallways. But for this particular instance, they are chasing around none other than Dr. Fauci, who has gone, for lack of a better term, what I would describe as apeshit crazy. And they corner him and they're like, hey, stop, calm down. And he's like, "Nya," and Mike Tyson's himself and just rips his own ear off for some reason. And they're like, hey, this guy's vaccine has clearly wore off. We need to get him to the lab for a booster shot ASAP. You guys remember fecal matter, right? So on top of looking like the embodiment of a sweaty dump, this guy's also a lecherous pervert, as proven by the next scene, where he and Junior discover a locker room that contains a naked lady. And rather than, like, announce themselves and be like, you know, hey, put some clothes on, because, like, we're here, they just sit outside and, like, breathe heavily at each other, like they're about to start a circle jerk. I guess a two-man circle jerk is really more of a quick draw situation. Whatever. I'm tired of thinking about that. Anyway, turns out she's a zombie, and they have to kill her, but moving on. You guys remember Hot Topic, right? I said he cut himself. Let me explain that. So he's walking down a hallway, he kicks a bucket. The bucket falls down some stairs, makes a lot of noise. This guy is like, God damn it. But I guess he remembers that the good book says, thou shalt not take the Lord's name in vain. And he's like, well, as penance for this, I better take out my hunting knife and start cutting a cross into my arm. And he's got scars to prove that he's been doing this for a while. I'm just like, this guy needs like psychiatric evaluation. Like this guy needs a therapist, not a automatic weapon. But anyway, while all that's happening, Billy Butcher has found another lab with another scientist in it, and this one's got a knife. So this knife-wielding crazy scientist guy turns around to Billy Butcher, and he runs at Billy Butcher with his knife, but Billy Butcher has a gun. So Billy Butcher takes his gun, and he shoots the crazy scientist guy, and he's like, pew, 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 and the crazy scientist guy goes flying through the air like an old kung fu movie. So I guess the takeaway from this is that the only thing that Hollywood does better than victimizing women and children is misunderstanding the physics of firearms. But before Billy Butcher can even say crouching tiger, hidden dragon, a big scary monster attacks him. But it doesn't fight him, it just runs away, and they have to chase it down a dark hallway, surprise, surprise, and into a sewer, which I guess is just a dark hallway with water in it. Anywho, Hot Topic gets separated because guess what? They decide to split up. That's right, they split up. There's a shock. Anyway, he's off by himself, his flashlight goes out, and this big scary monster jumps out of a conveniently placed shadowy corner and attacks him. And he, like, bites him on the neck and stabs him with this weirdly phallic dick tongue appendage. So he spits a dick at him, I guess is what I'm saying here. Billy Butcher shows up, and he's like, pew, 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 and he shoots the dick spitter and kills it. But it's too late because Hot Topic's already been dicked down. Nah, but he's dead, though. Anywho, they grab the dick spitter's corpse and they bring it back up to the lab and they show it to Bonnie Butcher, and she's like, what the hell is that thing? And they're like, was hoping you could tell us, seeing as how you're a fucking scientist and all. And she's like, well, I don't know. And so one of these guys is like, well, maybe it's an alien. And her literal response is, an alien? And I'm like, yeah, an alien? Yeah, it's not like you're on a fucking space station on another planet studying an alien civilization. But yeah, the existence of aliens, ooh, wow, that's kooky talk. Anywho, before they can decide who's the biggest idiot in the room, they all discover that Dr. Fauci has gone missing. So they decide to evacuate everyone and then turn off the bubble so the monsters can't get through. And I'm like, yeah, y'all probably should have led with that, just saying. But Fecal Matter is like, hey, maybe we should call some reinforcements, seeing as how, you know, we're fighting goddamn aliens. And Muscles is like, nah, man, we are the reinforcements. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds cool, but it's not true. You're the scouting team, and you should definitely call reinforcements. But he's like, nah, what we're going to do instead is we're going to give Wheels a handgun and some grenades and have him defend the portal. And I'm like, you know that man ain't got no legs, right? Like, you can see that this man ain't got no legs. Whatever, I'm not an elite space marine. What the hell do I know? But anywho, back in the lab, Bonnie Butcher is performing an alien autopsy, and she discovers she needs a bone saw, so she sends Dookie out to go get one. So Dookie leaves, but then the lights start flickering and everything, and Bonnie Butcher's like, I should probably go investigate this alone in the hallways by myself. So she does, but lucky for her, it's just a jump scare, because Dookie was just coming back with the bone saw. So the pair return to the lab, but before they can get there, a dog jumps out and starts growling at them. But this dog is not a dog, it's a red herring. Because behind them, in a conveniently placed darkened corridor, another dick spitter jumps out and tries to eat them. They make it back into the lab and close the wall that like phases in and out of existence, and it like phases on top of this alien and catches him, but not before he spits a dick at him. It doesn't hit him or anything. I just wanted to say spits a dick at him because it was fun. They do discover that this alien only has one ear, though, and so they're like, wait, who do we know that only has one ear? Evander Holyfield? Nah, just kidding. It was Dr. Fauci. So the scientists are turning into aliens. Surprise! Destroyer. Yeah, y'all remember him? He's still in the movie. He finds a big old hole in the ground. And a dick spitter sneaks up and shoves him into this big old hole in the ground, and they jump down and start fighting in a real goofy looking scene, but I'm not getting into that. The dick spitter ends up killing him, but he didn't spit no dicks at him. He just kills him the old-fashioned way. So that's important for later, so remember that. So when I was but a wee lad, I actually saw this dumpster fire in theaters, if you can believe it. And while I was there, I turned to my friend and I was like, what do these guys do if they have to take a shit while they're on a mission like this? And he just looked at me like I was a weirdo, and he's probably right about that. But I'll be damned if fecal matter don't answer that question for us, and also earn his nickname in this video, because he does have to take a shit, and he just abandons his post, and he goes and finds a bathroom and commences to taking a dump. And of course, a dick spitter crawls out of a vent, picks him up off the toilet, and kills him. And it's kind of an appropriate way to die for a guy who looks like he is in a constant state of taking a big sweaty dump. Seems appropriate. But anyway, back at the lab, Bonnie Butcher makes an important discovery. She discovers that the aliens only infect people and turn them into dick spitters if they're evil. If they're not evil, they just kind of just kill them and move on. So the moral of the story is, if you don't want a dick-spitting alien to spit dicks at you, don't be a dick. But Wills interrupts the alien exposition to tell everyone that the scary monster has made it through the portal, and everyone seems confused and annoyed by the fact that the guy in the wheelchair was unable to stop the gorilla-sized monster from making it past him. Nevertheless, they follow the big monster through the portal and discover that he has killed most all of the civilians on the other side, and the civilians that aren't dead, Muscles then wants to kill himself because they might be monsters. But Bonnie is like, hey, they're probably not monsters, though. And he's like, fuck your logic, lady. I don't care about that. And then Junior's like, but I like logic. And he's like, well, I don't like you. And then he shoots him in the head and kills him. But before anybody can process the fact that Muscles has lost his fucking mind, the big gorilla monster shows up behind Wheels and kills him. So they chase the big gorilla monster again through another hallway, noticing a pattern yet with these hallways? Till they find a big horde of zombies, and then they fight this big horde of zombies, back up to one of them little whoop 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 walls, and the little whoop 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 walls won't close for some reason, even though they don't explain that. And while they're waiting for the little whoop 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 wall to close, Dookie gets grabbed by the ankles and pulled through the floor, and he dies. So I guess you could just say that dick spitter dropped the Dookie. Anyway, but while Dookie's getting dropped in the back, Muscles gets dropped in the front, and he gets pulled into the horde of zombies. And then the wall finally closes, but Billy Butcher's shooting the wall, and a bullet ricochets and hits him in the side. So Billy Butcher and Bonnie Butcher have to climb into a broom closet to hide out. Last one, I swear. While in this broom closet, Bonnie Butcher looks at Billy Butcher, and she's like, hey, take some of these drugs, it'll save you. And he's like, no, I'm a bad person. She's like, nah, you're all right. And then she stabs him anyway, and then he blacks out. Billy Butcher wakes up on the floor, and then the movie goes into this first-person scene. If you've already seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But for those of you who aren't gamers and have not seen this movie, it's like going to an ice cream store and ordering a cup of vanilla, but the person giving you the ice cream thought you said that you wanted a cup of tepid diarrhea. And once your cup of tepid diarrhea is empty, Billy Butcher finds Bonnie Butcher, and they decide to get the hell out of there. But before they can do that, Muscles shows back up. He's infected too, but the infection rules are very inconsistent. Like, some people turn into gorilla monsters, some people turn into, like, zombies, some people turn into dick spitters. I don't really know, but in any case, this guy didn't turn into any of that. He basically turns into something that kind of looks like A-Bomb from Marvel. So Billy Butcher has superpowers now because of his magic MacGuffin injection. So Muscles and Billy Butcher fight for a little bit in a fight that goes on way too long before Billy Butcher throws Muscles into the little magic bubble and sends him back to the other space station, and then throws a grenade in after him, and it blows up and closes the portal. So the end, I guess. And I guess all the dick spitters are dead. I don't really know. Whatever. Billy Butcher and Bonnie Butcher fuck off back to the surface, and happily ever after, the end of this absolute fucking abortion of a film. Thank God. And I got a real simple survival strategy for you guys. Don't believe the recruiters, because they'll tell you we need you to go fight the dick-spitting menace, but what they're not going to tell you is that all of your teammates are going to be a bunch of unhinged, psychotic weirdos who are just as likely to kill you as the dick-spitters are. Trust me, you'd be better off fighting xenomorphs, because I'm afraid if you end up with these Space Marines that, in the words of an actual Space Marine, it'd be game over, man. Game over.